Hello guys, my name is Kyrios, and today I just kind of want to talk about my opinions on the Lightfall campaign. So this is just going to be kind of, I don't want to say, this is just be like an unscripted video. I'm just going to talk. I will have until the end of this dares to get all my thoughts out. So it should be no more than like 10-15 minutes. And if I finish everything, then it'll be shorter. Woohoo. So I think like most people, we came into Lightfall under the impression that it was kind of like I hate saying this because everyone says it, but it's true, like the Infinity War moment where the payoff of all the years is going to come into here. Maybe not like literally everything, but like the feeling of like our big baddie's here. He's invading us. We got Callus back. Like Callus has been, you know, a thing since Destiny 2 Vanilla. And come in and like some of the questions we have been asking for a really long time get answered, and then more questions from those answers arise, right? And that would lead us to the final shape. Like, okay, we understand what the veil is, but like maybe not what the witness is trying to do with it. Maybe like it would just depend on how the questions are answered, that sort of thing. And none of that, we'll go over the story first. None of that was ever answered. And I feel like, so I have two main things I want to get out of the way about the veil specifically. One, we have no character understand currently what the veil is. Second, if no one knows what the veil is from a lore perspective, how are we supposed to know and learn what the veil is aside from learning from someone who knows what the veil is? And I think what it felt like was the Cloud Striders were to tell us what the veil was. But instead of doing that, they just kept saying, we know more than you, and then proceeded to not tell us. Now, that could be because they don't use, maybe because they understand the veil less so as its paracausal use, like in terms of the Traveler and the pyramid ships and all that, and just it's an energy source in a way, in a lack for a better term, a magical way to able to digitize everyone in, you know, Muna, right? They have digital lives. And if that's the case, that's fine. But that needs to be said. Like, yeah, we use the veil for this reason. Like, there's still many answers we don't know about, right? Like, or questions we don't have, like, solved. That would be fine, right? I feel like the problem with narratively about the veil, I'm going to get the veil out of the way at the start because everyone is angry about that, is that it was presented to us as if everyone knew what the veil was except for us, but no one wanted to tell us. It just felt like a really bad prank. And I could see that, right? Because like the Cloud Striders like, oh, we know more than you, and then like the next mission or the mission after that, like, yeah, we don't know anything. And it's just like, you know, I understand from a narrative perspective on why the veil was never explained. Why was it never explained? No one knows what it is. People have tried to understand it, and it's just not a thing that anyone in our universe as of now knows what it is and would explain it to us, right? Cyrus doesn't know what the veil is. Cloud Striders have some understanding of the veil is, and I think it's frustrating that since they have an idea of it, it still wasn't explained to us. That sort of thing, right? So yeah, it makes sense that the veil wasn't explained. Why was the veil not explained? No one knows what it is. And that's not to say that the writing and the storytelling of the campaign was good, because it wasn't. How they went about telling us that no one knows what the veil is was terrible. They pretty much like led us on like some people do know what the veil is, but they're not going to tell us. Then you have just characters being grossly out of character. Like Osiris was just so incessant and annoying. Like it just wasn't fun. And I did the campaign 3 times, and after the first time, when I went back on the second and third character, because I planned to do the day one raid, I just muted the audio. I was like, I don't want to hear him scream in my ear for another like 4 hours. I hate how they portrayed Osiris. I understand that the veil is what the witness wants. I think everyone understands that the witness getting what he wants is a bad thing. It's how they went about doing that is why everyone is upset, and rightfully so. In terms of other characters, I thought Nimbus was just okay. I think the only issue I have with Nimbus is when he should have showed emotion, he just didn't. Like, Rohan just died, and it's like he doesn't care. And I understand that it was kind of explained, like Cloud Striders don't show emotion, like he's with the river, that sort of thing. And it could just be like a weird cultural thing with the Cloud Striders that they just don't like grieve. But then you go through like the audio tour post-campaign, and it talks about like how the Pukas are like their entire city's like emotion driven, right? But he doesn't, like, happiness isn't the only emotion, right? That sort of thing. So I feel like later in the seasons, later in post-campaign stuff, because this is made on March 3rd, right? It's been, you know, the 4th day Lightfall's been out, because it came out on the 28th. You know, we have time to learn more about things and things like that, and that will fix some of the issues. But in terms of the campaign itself, it doesn't. Nimbus was too joking. He was just way too. I say they, whatever. They were too laid back, and yeah, I don't care that they were like non-binary either. I literally just don't care. I know some people had a gripe with that. I don't care. Them being non-binary does not make them any less of a poorly written character. They're a poorly written character because they just didn't ever read the room ever. Like, I thought it was funny when we fist bumped Nimbus at the end, but their comment, like Callus being ugly right in front of Keitel, like that seemed out of place. But again, he doesn't know that Callus is her father, or maybe he does, but like, I don't know. Everything just felt weird. Everything just felt super out of place, out of character, weird. And I don't know how to feel about that, right? Like, it just, something felt really off. And then I thought Callus and the witness dynamic was really cool. I think, looking back on it, I don't think the witness ever intended or ever thought that Callus would succeed. I think he knew Callus would fail, and that taking over our ghost to reach the veil was his goal anyway. And I think if Callus had succeeded, it would have just been a bonus, if that makes sense. Like I said, I don't think he ever planned on Callus succeeding. Just like, everyone knew what type of person he was going into the campaign, and even Bungie and like some Vidocs like teased, you know, like, you know, how is the witness going to work with Cal, blah, 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 like their dynamic, right? And it was kind of alluded that, you know, it may be rougher than just, oh, I work for the witness now type of thing. And oh my god, I'm getting swarmed here. And yeah, is we done? No, got this big one. But I think the one cutscene that really got me interested in the witness and Callus and who they are as like villains was the cutscene right after Rohan, I believe, died. So the radio mast was destroyed, and Callus was yelling at the witness like, I did all these things for you, you're so ungrateful, like, yada yada yada, and the witness snaps. That was such a cool moment, because you got to see Callus, well, you got to see witness mad for once, which was just never a thing. Like, he just never showed any emotion. He was always just like very stoic, nebulous figure who just sought destruction and peace in some like Thanos way, where killing half the people brought peace, you know, that sort of thing. we actually got to see him portray emotion. So it means that he isn't just a nebulous force of something, right? Which I thought was really cool. Rohan, I feel like, was drastically underused, and I just like, I understand why he died. It was from the very beginning. I don't think anyone really would assume that he would last. And the reason I say that is because, like, in all the trailers and stuff, they're like, oh, he's the old man, he's on, like, they only last 10 years, and Nimbus is the rookie, right? Like, as soon as people start saying things like that, it's like, yeah, he's gone. Like, he's not gonna survive the campaign. And they even say that, I think, once in the story. Rohan's like, yeah, you know, we only serve for 10 years and then we're done. Like, we die through the augmentation. And, you know, some of my friends had a gripe with that. Like, if they were so advanced, you think they would be able to figure out a way for them to survive? I think that's just a stupid gripe, to be honest. Like, it's whatever. I think it is a plot point to help sell the idea that Guardians are invincible, and that they're protecting Neomuna with the sacrifice without any payoff. You know what I mean? Like, they are already sacrificing their life to protect Neomuna, and they don't get anything out of it, right? Like, they get the cybernetics, but, like, what's that gonna do for you when you live only 10 years? You know what I mean? Whereas Guardians, you live forever, and you get all this sweet stuff, and you repair causal thing of the universe, yada yada yada. So I think I really like that dynamic. I just think Rohan was severely underused. In terms of Strand, oh boy, Strand was strange because it felt like, so getting into, like, behind the scenes leaking, Strand was supposed to be part of Witch Queen, and when you get that knowledge, it makes perfect sense on why, because it all dealt with the psychic awareness and consciousness, and that was literally the entire point of Witch Queen, was illusions and consciousness and memory, and that is all Strand is. But guess what? It wasn't. So then it's like, how do you put Strand in a campaign that doesn't focus on that? You do it like this, and it feels terrible. My first impressions of Strand, going through the campaign of my Hunter, I absolutely hated it. I didn't like it. It felt terrible to use. It felt really bad just having a grapple, and then I did on Legendary solo. I felt like I had, like, no source of damage because you don't have a grenade, it's a grapple. Your melee does no damage. Your weapons are you're all sorts of out of whack. Like, it just felt terrible. So anytime I didn't have to use Strand, I did it. Like for Callus, the final fight, didn't use Strand. I used Void. But after unlocking things, like currently I'm playing Strand right now, like I actually really like Strand. I think it's going to be almost at least a couple classes running Strand for just suspension as a whole. Like suspension and Wraith Breath, yeah, woven mail is so incredibly strong. Like there's no way it's not going to be part of day one raid. That being said, it implemented into the campaign was awful. I think it felt rushed. It didn't really make like logical sense in terms of the like experience of the campaign, other than Callus can't suppress Strand, so we use it. I felt like it would have made much more sense than Witch Queen. Obviously they didn't do it for whatever reason, if that's because Strand wasn't finished developing, if that's because developers wanted to rather do the 3.0 subclass with Void and Solar than Arc over Strand. I don't know. I just feel like Strand would have made more campaign and lore sense for it to launch with Witch Queen and not Lightfall. That being said, I really love Strand. Now that we have all the fragments, because this has come out after they unlocked all the fragments, it's so much fun. Some of the most fun I've had in a while using a subclass. And I'm really happy. Post-campaign content. I've done most of it. I did from 0 to hero, and that was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I like Neomuna as a destination. I think it's pretty. Does Neomuna feel a bit emptier? I think it does, but I don't think it's any less or more empty than all the other patrols. And the reason I say that is I think Neomuna is just big in size. And because it's big in size, but the patrol space isn't any larger, per se. It just feels bigger, and because it feels bigger and there's not the people in the city, it makes it feel empty. I don't think it actually is any more or less empty. It just feels more empty because of how grand the place feels, right? It's a giant city. I'm gonna go until it says, oh, it says that I've been recording for 15 minutes, but this says it's been in here for 13:47. That's fine. I'll stop at like 17 minutes just so I can finish my last few thoughts. I think the partition mission was super fun. I did the partition mission where it was like a giant sparrow racing thing. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was really fun. It was exciting. The teasing of Nezarec is exciting. I also really enjoyed the strike that also teased Nezarec. I thought that strike was really cool. I like how they're reissuing the Vex theme of the Splicer, because I heard a lot of people just like really like that look. I was kind of indifferent, but I think it makes sense to use it here because Neomuna is at Cybernetic City anyway. And so I think it all works really well. That being said, did I enjoy the campaign? From a gameplay's perspective, 80%. Out of 100, I enjoyed about 80%. Lore and story-wise, I'm gonna have to give it like a 4 out of 10. Like, it didn't answer any of the questions, and if it leaves the questions open, that's fine. It just didn't do it in a satisfactory way. Right? It made it feel like you were missing crucial lore information that was just never given to you, but you were expected to know it, but there's no way you can know it because no one knows how to answer your question for you. And then I'll go over the seasonal stuff later, but these were kind of my thoughts, my first impressions, my rambly thoughts. After doing the campaign 3 times, doing like most of the post-campaign content. And yeah, I think overall it's been cool, it's been fun, it's exciting. It's just a letdown story-wise, or at least the main story-wise. I think the lore tidbits you get from hearing things and the lore books and all that, the lore tabs are all cool, but the main story was a massive letdown. I expected more, at least questions answered in a satisfactory way, or at least a way to keep the question alive, but more information on the question, something, but it just wasn't there. So these were my rambly thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.